Lads, we're here with Caron Slattery, came second place in Limerick OTS. What deck are you using?
Adventure Spright.
How did you find it?
Well, I started playing. I was playing tournaments for the last couple of months, and I found that sometimes while the deck can do so much, I found that at times where you open, let's say, one or two hand traps, say opponent opens one or two hand traps, they end up kind of stopping you and kind of you can't go too far, so to speak. They can't really do too much. But I found playing Spright that it's often very consistent. I actually tried the deck for a casual locals kind of around about a week or so prior, and found it pretty well. Kind of quite consistent. Kind of gives Adventure Engine gives it a lot more Spright more teeth that it sometimes struggles with. I felt because I played variants, very different variants before. And yeah, I'm very impressed how it
How do you find Adventures compared to other engines?
Well, I think for a while I was playing the Melffy engine. I think I liked it, but it's kind of you really only realistically play Caddy and Penny. Truth, I found the Adventure engine quite. It gives you consistent, say, ways to break boards. Gives you ways to kind of out certain things. Let's say, way it interacts with certain decks at the moment. If you're going first, I think it did really well. I think all things considered.
Nice. Any shoutouts?
Yes, shout out to Christian O'Connell, who gave me last minute kind of like day prior kind of last few kind of tech choices and a few different ratio changes. Shout out to Morris Gilbert. I playtested against him on the Saturday to kind of just make some final changes, and also to Gabby for this hat here, which is Instagram at Scabby_visuals.
Very nice. Do you get into profit?
Okay. So start off for Sprites, run 3 blue and 3 jet. Then run 2 red and 2 carrots. This is standard. You don't do. They're basically the bread and butter combo. These change out from time to time. For a while I was running 2 and 2. I think, to be honest, red is a bit more preferable than carrot because there's a lot more monster kind of effects you need to stop rather than the spell and traps at the moment. The negates didn't come up too often in my games, but it's still useful regardless. Then 3 nimble beaver.
Standards.
Standards to go. Then 3 nimble angler. Now the reason generally people run this at 2. I've seen variants more recently try running at 1. I've been more of 1 for 2 for a while because it's just if you draw into it you're kind of stuck with it. Let's say.
That's it. Too.
But with Adventure, if you open both this and Right of Armiseer, and if Armiseer resolves, you get Fatal Adventure. Use Fatal Adventure's effect to search either a Enchantress or a Griffin Rider, and you can then send Angler from hand, which then gives you the level, then lets you summon the 2 Nimble Beavers from deck. Generally, that's why I kind of like the Adventure Engine as well, because your best normal is Nimble Beaver, but other than that, you're just putting. Otherwise, your normals are just there to facilitate the other sprites. So this is your best normal summon, and this alongside Right Arm Seer facilitates your strongest combo.
Very nice.
2 Melffys, Penny and Catty. This one, that's when opponents normals or normal special summons anything, or if they attack into them, it returns to hand, and the idea is basically search out Penny to basically make Herald the Arclight. Or if you have this in hand, you could basically use this to search on Nimble Beaver for following turn, just for follow setups if you need it. Then for spells and traps, run Foolish Burial. It's a way to get Angler into Grave. You basically start that combo. It's one of your few 1-card starters. Speaking of 2 starter, standard.
Miss after 3.
Huh?
Miss starter at 3.
It's nice, but to be fair, in some games you don't want to open it. Like late game, you don't want to open it just for time. But yeah, it's one of your better starters. Smashers and then Double Cross. This came up quite a lot. It's really good to kind of into games going first. It's a really interesting interruption because some decks because say stuff decks like Unchained and things like that, you don't want them to be destroyed, but if you take them out of their control, it's kind of helpful, I found. And also Smashers are really good as well, because you're not destroying them, you're just kind of banishing them out. So it's a really good kind of just take something out of their. I feel like it did quite well. And for the Adventures engine, I run 3 Water Enchantress, 1 Griffin, run 3 Random Armour, 1 Draco back, and then 1 Fifth Adventure. Pretty standard. The only thing would probably be most people run this at 2. I think running at 3 was fine, because if anything, if you open both this and Right Arm Seer, it blanks a negate, let's say. So if it prompts an Ash from somebody, and
opening double doesn't hurt a lot of times.
Sometimes it doesn't, because you can the effect actually didn't come up, but it also has an effect that if you control a token, you can special summon this to field. So if you have, let's say, for example, you have a level 2, but you don't have a way to you don't want to spend a token on a rider, you can special this to field, link it to make sprint, and basically drop it to the Rexus as well. And then for hand traps, we'll go 3 Ash, 3 Imperm, then run 2 Fenrir, and then 1 triple tax. For a while I was going with DD Crow instead of these 3. I found Fenrir is just more useful. It's just a really good solid body to have, like, starting out, and I think people realise now they don't need to to interrupt it now at this point, I think, which is fine. But these are pretty standard, I think, at the moment, given we're more in a hand trap format, so I think it makes sense. This was very useful, I think, throughout most of the day, because we're in a hand trap format. It was really useful just to kind of. I used it. I think it's Sword Soul, where I took Shishao, let's say, from them, and just basically comboed and kind of swung for game. One of my games against Branded, I ended up using it to hand rip. I think their hand was like DD Crow, Ablatum, Fusion Deployment, and Imperm. I just took the Fusion Deployment because what are they doing beyond that, let's say?
Yeah.
I think their game. And yeah, I was very happy how that performed. Extra deck, we run 3 Gigantic. Most adventure Spright lists I've seen run 2. I prefer it at 3 because you're not locked into summoning it more than once, and if you have ways to basically put a link in a monster on field, you can basically make another one, which is
3-2.
Make 3,200. So basically, if you need to finish out a game, it's one better ways, I think, kind of to start with.
So actually, you're just 2 myself.
Melffy the Forest. I think it did okay for what. I think the Melffy package did okay for all things worth. I didn't play into too much, but for the games it did, I think it was important. Number 2, Ninja Shadow Mosquito. This was actually
Love this card.
Huh?
Love this card.
This was actually a mistake. I should have taken this card out because I had a bunch of my kaijus inside, but I took them out, I think, on the day prior, and so I think the only way this was ever going to work was if the opponent just had one high attack monster that wasn't doing it, that couldn't do anything. Never played against this. If the idea is you attack into the opponent's monster, you won't take any damage. It puts a counter onto it, and anytime a monster attacks, they'll take damage equal to that monster.
That includes your own, though, so if you attack yourself, you can do the burn as well.
Oh, of course. But
your opponent has to attack.
Yes. So, but yeah, the idea would be that you kaiju a monster they control, say, for Gandharla, and if you have 3 other monsters on field, which is possible, because Spright basically puts monsters out like crazy, you basically, with 3 attacks, you win, because 27 times 3 is 8,100, so you don't get a spot. Sky Savage Ventura, that was to clean up weird kind of monsters I couldn't kind of quite get rid of awkwardly. It never came up, but then the Zeus package. And last succeeds then is one more succeeds then, which is Typhon. It never came up. I never really found a game where it was the most needed card on the field. I still think it was a kind of card worth having because it kind of facilitates the same thing like Verte used to, where it's kind of Verte Anaconda, whereas if all else fails, just kind of say if you're going second, more if you're going second, obviously. But if you're going second and your opponent kind of interrupts everything, let's say you can at least kind of take a highest attack monster you've got, overlay it into this guy.
Get somebody on board.
Get somebody on board. It stops monsters with 3k higher attack doing anything, and basically you can return one to hand, which is useful. For links, Spright Sprint, played it quite a lot. Gloomy didn't come up very often, but was quite useful. IP Masquerena and SP Little Knight. Very often I went going IP into SP. SP Little Knight was it's kind of, I think it lives up to its hype. Honestly, I think it's a really good card.
Worth the price in it.
It's quite a lot, I will say that, but I think it's a card worth. I think it definitely paid dividends anyway on the day. I think it interrupted. Put this way, a lot of time a while back I had been playing Destiny Hero, using DPE, so I'm kind of used to playing a card somewhat similar, but the fact that it's even more generic and it just seems, and it banishes out, is way more useful, and the fact you can banish out from opponent's grave is very useful too, because you can use it against
bestials, especially.
Well, not even bestials, but even say something like, let me just check, one was more, just as a mo. Yeah, I mean, even if, let's say, you're going to say something like Pearly, you could target out, say, Delicious Memory or something like that, to take out, to stop Pearly lines if you wanted to. So there's that. Then level 5, we run Underworld Goddess. I think I was playing Pearly, tried to link climb into it. I went into IP on my turn, and he then went to Mheara to shuffle it back, so it never came up. But I still feel like it was important against certain decks that just have a towers that, like, say, like Dragoon or something like that. Yeah. I felt like I just needed something to break it, and that was my way again there. And last then, Herald, which you make off of Catty and Penny. Didn't come up very much, but so I think it's necessary.
Any changes you would like to make for next?
I think probably Mosquito was swapped out, maybe for something like Gin Buster. Maybe I think just in certain games where, let's say, if it's like, say, 10, let's say for like time wise, I feel like maybe I just needed a gate on board, and to do a small bit of burn if I need to. I think Gin's probably a better call. I think at the moment I'm pretty happy with how it. Otherwise, I think that's fine. Then for side, 3DD Curl. I think I sided into Pearly, didn't see it, and I think I sided into it against Unchained, which I think I saw 2 in opening hand, game 3. One went, I think, spent one on the level 6 blue dog, Mheara, I think it's called. I may be wrong. The other one I did was against Chamber, which is really odd, and I know it's a bit of a bad call, but I just didn't want them extending more, on my turn. That was kind of my plan. So yeah, there's that. 3 Effect Veiler. I would have changed, knowing what I know now, I would have changed this. I think I would change it into Dimension Shifter. Just, I never found there was games where I needed this, let's say, over, say, Imperm specifically, or I would swap Ash out for this, let's say. I think more often than not in my games, I felt like if I had something like, I feel like Shifter would probably have been a better call, just to kind of deal with, say, something like Unchained, where they're not going to have the follow up, let's say, the following turn.
Stop the graveyard plays.
Because, I mean, outside of if I don't have, in boards where let's say in hands where I don't have the Angler Lock, I think Shifter's fine, because you don't really necessarily need the grave, but the only in scenario is the Angler Lock. But other than that, it's fine. Then, Nightmare, Corruptor Éilish. This is for basically branded decks in general, or like decks that, let's say, don't have links, so that was kind of...
Common Spright play, the Éilish Lock. Yeah.
I side into it, so that's the thing. But I feel like I came up once anyway. I think it was against branded, so it was gonna hit. But I slightly kind of should have gone to the next card, which is Red Resonator. Basically your time win condition. I played against branded last round. I actually ended up losing. I should have got the draw. I should have probably went into this rather than this to stop him kind of doing anything. But it is what it was. Hey, I'm got my qualifier, so I'm not going to complain. Then Triple Tactics Thrust. Any game 2 or 3 I went into this, and it was when it was applicable, it was really useful. Say if they negate something like jet, you can start, even if, let's say if you don't need to board break or anything like that, if you're going first, it's quite useful, because if let's say they ash on your turn, you can use it to say bring say double cross or even Rite of Armistier or something like, or not Rite of Armistier, but say something like double cross, let's say, if you couldn't search it out, let's say, there's ways to get there. And then last few cards, then evening match, board break for the storm, Dark Ruin no more, and last Herald to this. Basically all of them are search targets for thrust. Did not see any of them through using thrust. Saw this I think game against Pearly, game 1, or sorry not game 1, game 2. I think I drew into it for turn or something like that, let's say, which is like, you really didn't need to see, I needed to see any other Spright name I think to get going, and just that was what I saw. I never found a scenario where kind of I don't know, it just didn't come up, but without question, I think there's still facility in each of those. This for any kind of back row heavy decks like Trap Drakes, Flu, or anything like
especially
that.
Lambert now with the new Butler as well.
Very true. I still think that's luckily I didn't cross paths with that, but it's kind of appropriate. Dark Ruler would have been for say stuff like Dragon Link and things like that, where it's kind of where they kind of their presence is on board. If they're negated, they can't do anything. Evenly is just to forward break against decks that, let's say, I don't know how I feel about it against Unchained specifically. I feel like it was, I felt like I wasn't sure what to do. It's kind of to board break in that, but I just felt like it was the better call just to take certain cards out of play entirely. And Herald Abyss is obviously for Pearly, which I did side into it and never saw. So there's that. It's the deck I went. Yeah, some of the games were drew against Sword Soul, won against Gate Guardian.
It's unusual.
Unusual, but I mean, it puts up two monsters that are quite difficult to deal with, and the field spell is kind of interesting. Won against Pearly, lost in the last round against Branded due to resistance. I got top 4. Won against Branded the semis and lost to Unchained in the final. So I'm so delighted how it went, and hopefully sign of better things to come anyway.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Congratulations again.
Thanks
Second.
very much. Thank you.
See you later.